Hey everybody, and welcome back to another Technology Thursday post for our At Home with DE series. Today we are back in with TinkerCAD creating our very own custom mug. So let's get started. Alright, so remember the first thing we need to do is actually go to the TinkerCAD website and log in with our login. And what you can do is just jump up in here and do create new design. And then we are off to the races. The first thing we want to do when we're in TinkerCAD is just jump up here and change the title. So we're going to call this Custom Cups. And the way that we're going to build our cup first is by using a basic shape and cutting a few holes. Then we're going to make the text and cut a couple more holes so that we've got it so that the text wraps around the edges. So what we're going to do is a cup shape. We could use a cylinder if we wanted to, but cups tend to have this kind of tapered edge to it, so the bottom of the cup is a little bit smaller than the lip of the cup. So what we're actually going to do is we're going to manipulate and we're going to use the Paraboloid. So just grab that in, drop it in here, and we can see that it is, you know, a little small, it's a little round, it's upside down. So what we're going to have to do is first jump in here and we're just going to take the square, the box, either the regular box and turn it into a hole or just choose this hole right here. We're going to make sure that it is covering the full piece. So right here we can see that it's over. So just to make sure, I'm just going to do one of these. We're going to align it to the center points. And if you want to make sure, you can always make that box a little bit bigger so that you can see all the edges there. So all we're going to do is we have to cut the top of this off so that when we are looking at it, we're just going to work with a little bit. So we're going to click on the bounding box, the hole, click this little tiny triangle at the top, lift it up. And we want to lift it up just a little bit so that we've got kind of this rough little platform, one might say. And then we're going to change that to make it look like a cup. So don't worry, we're getting there. So again, first things, let's select both of them. So just click and drag to select all, then group them together. And because we've got that hole, it's actually going to cut the rest of that piece off. And here we go. So now we've got this really tiny cup or upside down platform. It looks like a circus platform. All we're going to do is we're going to manipulate it to make it a little bit longer. And you can see that this angle is kind of here, but as we drag the top up here, the angle still exists, but it's a lot shallower, making it look a little bit more like a cup. So what we can do is we can keep pulling it up and pulling it around, and we can change these. But if you notice, if we drag around, we're gonna get some funky looking tops of our mugs. So what we wanna make sure is we're just gonna undo that and make sure that we're back to a square on the bottom. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to scale this up so it's a little bit bigger, so we have a bigger canvas, because right now this is 25 millimeters by 25 millimeters, which is 2.5 centimeters. That is a very small cup. So we want to make it a little bit bigger. So we're going to do it about half size. So we're going to do 40 by 40 and then make this height 55. Okay, that looks a little bit more proportional, kind of like a mug there. Again, it's still upside down. We're going to flip it over, but we want to keep that. And then what we can do later on to make it bigger is we can scale it up like this to make it a proper height of a cup. Okay, so let's bring it right back down here. And then, of course, we do have to flip it upside down so that the smaller circle is on the bottom. And what we're going to do is we're going to grab the rotate tool. If you hold down shift, it'll rotate in bigger increments just so that you make sure it is straight up so that your cup isn't a little bit tilted. Okay, so we are gonna go like this, and all we're gonna do is just take that and move it up to the top. So we've made the size of our cup and how our the general shape is gonna be. So let's now make the design we want on the side of the cup itself. Okay, so we're just gonna bring it up here, and what we're gonna draw is, it's gonna say drink more. Instead of water, we're going to make it sciencey, and we're going to go H2O, which is the chemical formula for water. So all we're going to do is we're going to use the text and numbers, and I like how blocky these letters are, so I'm going to use that rather than the text. But you can use the text if you'd like. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab a couple and place them random in here. We want drink, D-R. Drink more water, which is H and an O. We have 2 hydrogen molecules. We're just gonna go over to the next page and grab the number 2. So we've got all the numbers here as well. So we're gonna grab 2. We're gonna make it a little bit smaller so that it doesn't look as kind of out of place. So I'm just gonna shrink this down again, holding shift to keep that proportion. Everything looks good. Now, again, these are just like I've thrown them on the page, so we're gonna use the handy dandy align tool. So I'm gonna grab olive drink. I'm gonna take and click that up here, align it in the middle, and we should be good there. More, same idea. Looks like I was pretty good at placing them. In the H2O, I wanna make sure that I'm aligning the top. And then this one we can kind of manually move around. But these are kind of a little bit too crazy spaced. So all I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna take the drink and I'm gonna make it just a little bit closer because we don't want it to be too big on the side of our cup. And I'm gonna take the more, and what I'm actually gonna do is I'm gonna line it up so that the E and the K are aligned and the M and the D are aligned, so it's like a solid line there. So I'm gonna take this and make sure we line it up on the side. The K and the E, line it up on the side. Amazing. And then we're gonna do this because I moved it around. I love a good align tool. Everything looks pretty tip-top for me here. I'm gonna move this O over a little bit and the R, so the R is gonna be a little bit more spaced out, but that is A-okay. Graphic design. And then our H2O, we're going to move it up like this. Alright, so again, we're going to align the H and the O. And the way we're going to do this to make sure that the drink, the more, and the H2O are in line is we're going to group each word first. So the H2O is 1, the more is 1, and the drink as 1. And then we're going to grab all 3 of them, and once again, our favorite tool, the align tool, align it in the center, and now we have drink, more, H2O, looking great. Okay, so now we put that on the side of a mug, fine, but let's make it a little bit interesting, and we're gonna go in here, we're gonna grab our basic shapes. We're actually gonna use a scribble tool. A little custom artwork, here we go. So all I'm gonna do is grab the scribble. It comes up looking like this, but once we place it on the artboard, so to say like that, we get this new window. So we can see a preview up here, and our cursor is now kind of like a drawing pen tool. So we're gonna make it kind of look like water, waves, little jaggedy lines here. All right, and then we can see it preview up here. So it's just taking my shape and turning it into our 3D model in our main screen there. So we're gonna press done. I'm going to plop on, look at the top again. Now this can be any size. We can now manipulate this just like a regular shape. So I'm gonna make it roughly look the same size as this one. And then I'm going to make it so it's on the bottom as well. So let's get this all in view. Looks great. We're gonna take this, we're going to press Control D to duplicate it or copy paste. And then all we're gonna do is we're gonna flip it upside down. So I'm gonna see these arrows and I'm gonna flip it upside down like this. I'm gonna move it to the bottom and I'm actually gonna shrink it down so that it fits kind of under the H2O. And we're going to, you guessed it, align it to the center. Amazing. And then we can kind of take a good side view there to see that our spacing is kind of okay. Looks pretty good. Maybe we move the more up a little bit. Just so it's not too far away. Can fit on our cup nicely. Alright, center align it one last time because we've moved things around. There we go. Okay, so now when we go on our like side perspective, obviously we've got some different heights of both the 2 and the waves and the words. So we're gonna go into each and we're gonna set each height to 4. Move over to the side. Height to 4, looks great. Height to 4. Now, this one, we might actually have to go in and ungroup it to get that to the right height. So we're gonna go in here. Looks like it's 2.7. Obviously we want it to be 4. There we go. We're looking better already. We can regroup that again. Select all of those different pieces, group them together so they're all one color, and then our last height change is going to be 4. Great. So here we are. We've got our nice piece here. It looks like our line is just a little bit too small. So I'm just holding down Option key right here, and it's actually pulling it out from the center. So we don't have to align it again. And then we'll grab everything. We will group it so it comes one color. You can change the color. This isn't going to matter too much, just so that you can see it. Okay, so now we've got our design for our cup. We've got our cup, but we do actually have to put them together. And it looks like this is going to be massive on the side of our cup. So we do want to make sure that we take this. We're going to first, now that they're all the same height, we're going to make it even bigger. You'll see why in a bit. Okay, and then we're going to take that and we're going to rotate it. Again, you can hold shift for bigger increments so that it's the same orientation as the cup itself. Obviously, we've got to bring it up to the top, and even still it is huge. So we're going to take that and we're going to hold shift, and I'm just going to scale it all down like this. So it roughly looks the same size, and probably you want it to be a little bit smaller than this side perspective view, so that when it does wrap around, it doesn't distort the letters too much. Okay, so we're gonna plop it up here. We can bring all of these forward just a little bit, and we'll bring this up. What we can do is we can use that align tool. We love it so much. Align it to the center, align it to the center, and change our perspective here, and pull this guy right in there. And we do want to make sure that there is lots of different, so we're going to pull it out. So when I pull it out, I don't want to use the corners. I want to use these middle boxes here. So I'm just going to extend it and extrude it. And I do want to make sure that it is hitting all the sides, so it's going right into the middle of the cup. And we do want it to make sure that it is coming out as well, because that's going to help us. We're basically going to cut around the outside here. And again, one last good old double center. And I think we are good to start making the hole. So that's going to be on the side of my cup there. Obviously, it's not going to look like this, because it would be a hazard if you were trying to drink. You wouldn't be able to get to the lip of the cup. So we do have to make the lip first. So now that we've got our words, we've got our cup here, the main gray piece, and all we're going to do is we're going to duplicate it, make it smaller to cut out the inside hole, and we're going to duplicate it and make it bigger so that we can cut around in the same line as the outside curve. Okay, so let's walk through it. We're going to grab the cup, we're going to press Command D, which is duplicate, which is you can just do a copy paste, which is up here as well, but we're going to press Command D, duplicate it, and I'm going to grab the middle, hold down shift so that the whole thing scales, make it a little smaller, make it a hole so that when we bring it up to the surface, we can see now that that's kind of where the size of our lip of our cup is going to be. Okay, so that looks like a good size lip for me. Then I'm gonna grab, so we do want to make sure that you can still see it. Doesn't matter if it's above, but we don't want it to be below, otherwise you're just making a hollow cup, a hollow like box. So we're gonna grab that. Now, once we cut all of that out, it's gonna cut any of the words that are extruding into the cup as well, so that we do have that nice clean hole. What we're gonna do now is we're gonna cut and make a box around it that cuts out these words. So we're gonna grab the big gray box, so not the hole, and we're gonna duplicate it, so Command D or copy paste, and then what we're gonna do is instead of going smaller, we're actually gonna go bigger. So hold the top, hold shift, and go a little bit bigger like this. We're gonna turn it into a hole so that we can see it, and what you'll notice is you can start to see how much of the words or how thick those words are going to be on the side. You don't want to be too thick, otherwise they're not going to print very well. So just a little thickness like this, so kind of the same thickness as my walls here. Now, we can't just cut away right now, because if we cut, the whole cup disappears and we just have this random floating words which is not great for drinking. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to make a bigger box around it and essentially cut a hole through it. So we're just going to grab a regular box, make it super big so that it is covering the whole thing so that we can still see this hole. Deselect everything. We're going to grab the big box, hold down shift, which means you're selecting two shapes, and then you're going to click on this bigger hole that you can see here. So I've got two shapes. I'm going to group it, which means I'm cutting out this hole, this cup size hole in the middle. So I can still see my cup in there. I can see a little bit of my words on the side because there's an edge. And then all we're going to do is take this big guy, we're going to turn it into a transparent so that we can see what's going on. Right, so essentially we've just cut a hole in here so that what we're going to do is we're going to cut away all of this yellow that exists within the box. Okay, so we're going to turn this box into a hole. The easiest way to do this part is go up to the top view, and you only want to select, you're going to click and drag so that you're selecting the box and the yellow piece, or whatever color your words are. So we're just selecting the two. Good old group, which means it's going to cut away that, and there we go. We have a nice thin lip of words. Drink more H2O. Lovely, lovely. So what we can do is, if you want to keep it like that so it fits kind of on your table or anything like that, just grabbing it like a normal cup, you can do that, and all you're going to do is take it and we're going to give it a good old group. And so now you've got a cup. Custom cup on the side there. Now, the other thing that you can do is you can actually add a handle. So let's ungroup it just once so that we've got it here. And then all I'm going to do is we're actually going to use this right here. We're going to grab it here. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to make the sides a little bit smaller. The radius, there we go. And I'm going to manipulate this shape so that it's kind of long. Let's rotate it up so it's in the right kind of orientation. Again, hold shift for bigger steps. So now, essentially, when I put it on the cup side here, oh, it might be a little bit bigger. So I'm going to have this handle on my cup. And so what we can do is we can just kind of manipulate this, move it over a little bit, bigger, smaller, however you want to design your piece. Remember, when we're extruding it or making it longer, we do want to grab the black one so that it's just pulling out the side. Pull it up just a little bit more. Look at that. Looks pretty great to me. And you guessed it. We're going to group the words and the cup together. And we're going to grab the handle and everything else. Good old align it to the center. And maybe looks like it's already just a little bit lower than the center. Oh, what happened to my hole? There we go. So let's grab this one and this one, align it to the center. We're going to align it so maybe it's a little bit higher, like that. All right, and then we can grab everything, group it together. One last time, we've got a nice cup, a beautiful mug, drink more H2O, a sciencey cup for a hot summer's day. And so then, just like before, we want to make sure that we are keeping this the right size. So at this point, it is only 55 millimeters, which is like smaller than my finger at this point, which would only give you a little tiny drink of water. Not great when it's really sunny out. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to make it 10 centimeters, which is like the size of my hand, like this, okay? Or about that. So I'm going to grab this, I'm going to hold down shift. Remember, we're going to scale the whole thing up, and we're going to watch that number rise to about anywhere like close to 100. So 100 millimeters is 10 centimeters. So we've got a beautiful drink more water cup ready to go. And of course, to download it, all we're gonna do is we're gonna make sure it's all grouped together, export it to an STL file. It's gonna download with our name file right here. And then what you can do with that is you can take your STL file and you can email it to us at destination.explore@uleth.ca. And what we can do is we'll print it, and then if you're coming to camp in the next couple of weeks or you're back with us in the fall, you can pick up your design then, which is very exciting. Today is gonna be our last Technology Thursday video for a little bit, just because we are running in-person camp, and if you haven't signed up yet, make sure you do so because spots are filling up. And hopefully you enjoyed that. Remember, there are lots of other videos to check out if you haven't seen them yet, and we do have some of our live Try 'em Tuesdays on there as well that you can do an activity alongside us. Hopefully I get some awesome custom cups sent my way so we can get them printed and that you can enjoy the rest of your summer. Once again, I'm Steph from Destination Exploration. I know that I've had a blast these last couple of months making some videos and interacting with all of you, and hopefully you've had some good fun as well, and hopefully learned some cool STEM tricks along the way. And until we are back again, I will see you next time.